Okay, let us have a word of prayer. Dear Father, which art in heaven, Lord, we come this morning giving thanks and praise to your holy name, Lord, for watching over us through the night, Lord, allowing us to come forth this morning. Now, Lord, as we present ourselves before you, Lord, we come for service. Lord, that you will give us direction, quicken our mind, give us the motivation to help others, and Lord, perfect our character. In Christ's name, amen. Okay, for this morning's class, we're going to look at herbal medicine, herbal medicines, and we're going to look at different ways to make different concoctions, such as decoctions, infusions, salves, tinctures, extracts, essential oils, just the different ways that you can actually put together simple remedies, and you can actually make different products. Now, when we do our school at home, we teach how to make anything from deodorant to toothpaste to soap. We make hard soap, liquid soap. We make detergent. We make Ajax. We make just about every kind of toiletry you can name. And the students are given a project, and they all have to make a product. And they have to design the label, they have to design the package, and it have to look professional, like you would go and buy it in the health food store. And the reason why we do that is that we're trying to show them that they can develop their own products and have a way to supplement their income. As medical missionaries, you must find a way to supplement your income, because if you depend just on patient care, it's just going to be tough. Because the medical missionary work is a very competitive work. And when someone gets sick, the first place they're going to want to go to is someone that, got some experience. Somebody been doing it for a long time. And the people that are just getting started, they have a really tough time because, nobody know you and you don't have the practical experience background. So it's tough. But people that's been around, they don't have a difficult time at all. They don't have to advertise on anything because people are advertising for them. You see what I'm talking about? People at word of mouth are getting out there. Well, this brother or this sister know how to do this. You need to go to them. And as Sebastian was bringing out in his class, that's the best type of advertisement is word of mouth. And so you need to come up with some way other than totally depending on patient care, because that's just not going to happen unless you're in a really blessed situation. So we'll start our program in herbal medicine from Revelation, the 22nd chapter, verse 2. And the leaves of the tree was for the healing of the nation. Employ every faculty. It is not a denial of faith to use such remedies as God has provided to alleviate pain and to aid nature in her work of restoration. It is no denial of faith for the sick who request prayer for healing to cooperate with God and place themselves in the condition most favorable to recovery. God has put in our power to obtain a knowledge of the laws of life. This knowledge has been placed within our reach for use. We should employ every faculty of our, we should employ every faculty for the restoration of health, taking every advantage possible, working in harmony with natural laws. Menstrual Healing, page 231, 232. So don't think that it's a denial of faith to use the simple remedies and simple applications that God has sanctioned. Because some people will say, well, if you have enough faith, you don't have to use simple remedies. And they think that by using remedies, it's a testimony that you lack faith. But God has blessed the plan of using simple remedies, and his blessing is in it. So it's not a denial of faith. A good example of that is Hezekiah. God extended Hezekiah's life for 15 years. And as a sign that he would fulfill his promise, he caused the sun to go back 10 degrees. Why did he not put his direct restoring power upon the king? He told him to apply a bunch of figs to his sore. And that natural remedy, blessed by God, healed him. The God of nature directs the human agents to use natural remedies now. Second selected message, page 286. So God could have instantly healed Hezekiah through miraculous purpose applications, but he chose not to do that. But he chose to use natural remedies. And there are several other examples in the scriptures where God used natural remedies. And yet he had the power to simply just say a word only and a person would have been healed. And in these last days, because of fanaticism, God has chose to use more and more of the natural remedies because it's an educational process. You look at the time we have spent being here has been an educational process. But if we all would have had the power, or exercising the power of miraculous healing, hey, we could have saved a lot of time. We could have just said, just be ye healed, and everybody could happily go on their way. But you wouldn't have learned very much at all. You wouldn't have learned very much about how we have brought this body into decay. You wouldn't have learned much about diet and food and exercise and water and nutrition. You wouldn't have learned anything about that at all. And plus, you would not have learned the application of faith, because it takes faith to use these simple remedies. It don't take a lot of faith to believe that God can heal you. It don't. All you got to believe that he's God, and you know that God can do anything. But it takes a lot of faith to believe that a bunch of figs can heal somebody of a terminal disease. When all your life you've been eating figs, you've been doing all kind of stuff with figs, and you didn't see any virtue or power in figs. But now all of a sudden this man is telling you to use something that you're quite familiar with, and that it's going to do something different this time. So he's asking something that is not seen by you or not known by you. That's the exercise of faith. And so God has chose that, more and more of that in these last days. We have been instructed that in our treatment of the sick, we should discard the use of drugs. There are simple herbs that can be used for the recovery of the sick, whose effect upon the system is very different from that of those drugs that poison the blood and endanger life. Manuscript 73, 1908. This is plain testimony here. And the question is not, do we believe this statement? The question we must propose to ourselves and to our brothers and sisters, do we believe that the Word of God has said this? And so I think that's where the problem is. We really don't believe that this was inspired counsel, just as inspired as the Holy Scriptures. And we find excuses like, it's a lesser light. And lesser light means less obedience to the command. And we make those excuses. But you had minor prophets, and you had prophets that was the major prophets. Was the counsel that the minor prophet gave any less truth than the one that the major prophets gave? No. Truth is truth. I don't care if an ass speak it. When Balaam was beating that ass, and that ass was speaking the truth. And so if Balaam had listened to that ass, he could have been saved from, what he went through. So truth can come through any source that God chooses to send it. And so God has given us direct counsel that we are not to use drugs, but we are to use the simple agents of nature. And if we would do that, God could restore his healing power upon the applications that we use. And so when we see things about what they're doing in our medical institutions, don't marvel at that. That is the working of Satan, the prince of darkness. Because if it's not of God, it's of Satan. I don't care what the intent may be. The intent may be for the good of mankind, but intent do not give sanction from the Word of God. And so your motive may be right, but your application may be wrong. And the curse causeless shall not come. So even though you may not be aware of it, that curse is coming because you have produced a cause. The Lord has provided an antidote for disease and simple plants. Now that is so direct. When God has made it so plain that He has given us a cure for disease. Where? In simple plants. If this is the case, and I believe it is, why then are we looking at genetic engineering? Why then are we looking at toxic chemicals and radiation and proton treatments, placenta implants, and all kind of craziness? Why are we spending and raising millions of dollars to find out how to cure disease when God has given us the keys to unlock this mystery by telling us the Lord has provided an antidote for disease in simple plants? And these can be used by faith with no denial of faith. For by using the blessings provided by God for our benefit, we are cooperating with Him. He can use water and sunshine and herbs which He has caused to grow. And so now God has given us the antidote. It's found in natural medicines, water, and the things of nature. It's just like our intelligence will not accept the simplicity of God. We have become so wise that we are wiser than God. And so consequently, we have become fools. And God is requiring those things that are past. In the healing maladies brought on by indiscretion or accident, we do not manifest a lack of faith when we ask God to bless the remedies. True faith will thank God for the knowledge of how to use these precious blessings in a way which will restore mental and physical vigor. Second selected message, page 289. When asking counsel, simple remedies advised. There are many simple herbs which, if our nurses would learn the value of, they could be used in place of drugs. Now, what God is simply saying here that in the place of prednisones, we could use butcher's broom. We could use licorice root. Okay? And in the place of, I don't care what type of drug it is. I don't care what it is. God has an answer for it. Okay? So, if we would simply trust God and His ability to direct us on what herbs to use. Instead of using primarum, which is an estrogen extract from horse urine, we could use black cohosh. We could use red clover tea. And we could use soy extract. We could use flaxseed. So God has placed these elements in nature to be used in place of drugs. But, you know, you take, for instance, in place of chemotherapy, God has given us an herb called periwinkle. Now, let me just give you a little information. The St. Jude Leukemia Hospital in Memphis is world famous for working with childhood leukemia. I mean, it's known around the world. And people come from around the world to St. Jude Leukemia Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. It's the only one. And they offer free service. They switched to a treatment of periwinkle. They take periwinkle and make a chemo drug out of it. Their increase of success rate shot up to about 80%. They averaging about an 80% cure for childhood leukemia now because they switched to periwinkle. Now, before they was using periwinkle, the success rate was very poor. But now, when they tell you that they can have just about figured out a way to cure childhood leukemia, they are right. But it's because they went to periwinkle. They would probably get even a better cure rate if they didn't mess it up with other, synthetic drugs that they mix with it. But periwinkle is very powerful. Now, to make the chemo drug for leukemia, for childhood leukemia out of periwinkle, they had to take many, many pounds of periwinkle. It can go up to 25 to 30 pounds and distill it down to just a few ounces. Okay, you understand? You get the gist, right? So 25 pounds of periwinkle, and they distill it down to about three or so ounces of extract. That makes it very powerful. So now when we work with leukemia, I just got through working with small cell lymphoma before I came up here on a guy in Puerto Rico. And his prognosis looked really bad. And we took the periwinkle and we distilled it down, somewhere between 3 to 5 pounds, we distilled it down to about an ounce. And he took this every day. In less than 30 days, his leukemia markings are all normal. But we used the pure periwinkle. And I tell you, it is a very powerful herb. Now, the Jamaicans and the people in the West Indies was using periwinkle for many years. They was using it to treat diabetes. And it's quite an effective herb for dealing with diabetes. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, well, periwinkle grows all in the South. It grows, it's a native plant of the South. It grows all in America in the warm climates. Right. But you can order periwinkle. It's one that you can get, and it's not a problem. Your government will let you, get it across the border. So, but periwinkle is a very powerful herb. Yes. St. Jude Leukemia Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. Another case in point before we start looking at tinctures and decoctions. Right now they're doing a lot of research trying to find out what to do about AIDS. They don't know what to do about AIDS. They have come up with a drug called protein inhibitors. Protein inhibitors mean a protein inhibitor. And what that does is by simply having this protein inhibitor in your bloodstream, it inhibits the AIDS virus by tricking your T4 cells to attack the protein. When your T cells attack the protein inhibitors, it causes an immune reaction to take place. The problem with AIDS is that you don't produce an immune reaction, which they call an inflammatory reaction. An immune reaction is when your immune system is responding to a foreign object, a foreign protein, and your immune system will respond and attack it and destroy it. When it comes to the AIDS virus, your immune system will not produce that response. Even though your immune system has all the capabilities to respond to kill the AIDS virus with no trouble at all, it can wipe it out, but it will not do it. And the reason why the immune system will not attack the AIDS virus is because the AIDS virus attaches itself to a healthy T cell. They become one flush. The AIDS virus and your healthy T cell become one flush. So when your healthy T cells identifies the AIDS virus, they notice that it has attached itself to a T cell. And if the T cell attack the AIDS virus, it's going to kill the T cell. And God has put in the DNA of the cells not to attack his own kind. I wish it was in us. I wish that DNA in us would program us not to attack each other. But the cells, they simply obey that. And even though their brother cell is doing something contrary to the will of the body, they won't attack it. And so the only way you can make it attack that virus is you got to force it, or you got to trick it to attack that virus. And so they develop a protease inhibitor that is an offensive protein that is released in the bloodstream. The T cells recognize that, and immediately they jump on it and destroy it. But in doing that, they produce an immune response. And once the mechanism of immune response has been activated, they can't shut it off. It'll keep on attacking, and it will destroy anything that is not of self. It would destroy sick cells, disease cells, infected cells. It would destroy old cells that are worn out. It's going to go through the whole body and clean the house up. And so when it come across a T cell with an AIDS virus on it, it destroys it. And that's how the AIDS patients are living longer now, like Magic Johnson and some of the other ones. They're living longer because they're taking protease inhibitors. And so, but God has given us a natural protease inhibitors, and it's called pokeweed, P-O-K-E, pokeweed. The pokeweed is a herb that grows a lot in North America. It's probably grow up here too, especially down on the near the border. I think Sebastian has a picture of it. Yes, he does have a picture of it in one of his slides. So maybe, you know, sometimes you can get him to pull it up and you can look at it. Because I did see some, because it grew in China too. But it grows in any climate that have warm climate and cold climate. It'll grow, you know, real easy. But anyway, it produces a kind of a purple-looking berries, you know, and it's some big wide leaves. Indians used to use it to dye their clothes purple with it and red. But anyway, if you take the pokeweed and dilute it down and then drink it, give yourself an enema with it, it would produce a powerful immune response. Now, I will say this here, don't experiment with pokeweed without working with somebody that's knowledgeable, because pokeweed is a toxic herb. It's quite a toxic herb, so don't experiment with it unless you consult with somebody that is familiar with the herb and tell you how to deal with it. But it is a very powerful protease inhibitor that destroys the AIDS virus. You can use the whole herb. You can use the leaves. The leaves are very strong. You can use the root and make a tea out of it. You can juice the leaves and get a juice out of it. So the whole root, the whole plant can be used.
So what part is toxic?
The whole plant is toxic. The leaves are more toxic than the root, though.
So in a certain volume it would be toxic?
Yes. Well, you got to dilute it down with water by until it's not so strong. I don't want to give you the measurements. It's in my book. It's in my book. I don't want to do it because it's on this tape, and then somebody hear the tape and immediately go and don't have the information and take it, and they could get real sick. So if you're going to do it, you need to follow the instructions in the book to make sure you don't do an overdose on it. I've had people to overdose on it and get real sick. Yes. You have a picture? Okay, very good. Maybe you could put it under the camera. I don't know if he can zoom in on it and look at it.
Is that also good just for a general immune builder?
It is.
Talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can order this herb off the internet, pokeweed, and you can take anywhere from 25 to 45 drops of tincture, and it will give you a considerable amount of protection by boosting up your immune system. And if you take it and it makes you feel dizzy and lightheaded, nausea, then that means you're taking it a little too strong. Cut back until the nausea and dizziness leave, and then it should be okay. Okay, so there are many simple herbs which, if our nurses would learn the value of, they could be used in place of drugs and find very effective. Many times I have been applied for advice as to what should be done in case of sickness or accident. I have mentioned some of these simple remedies, and they have proved helpful. Second selected message, page 295.
So if you're working with somebody with AIDS, would you want to take a few drops of it?
Well, yes, I mean, I take it all the time. Yes, I mean, do that to kind of keep your system, your resistance built up. I take pokeweed, I take a little echinacea, astragalus, and some of the other immune herbs. And I take them, just to kind of keep myself, built up. Mm-hmm.
Kind of use the oils and put around taking viruses too.
They're very good, especially if you got, bacteria, virus in the air. Keep some of the oils around, and that, oregano is good, tea tree oil is good, and it's a bunch of them. Like you said, lavender was good for burns. Most of those oils, essential oils, are very good. Now let's look at an infusion. Most of us know how to do an infusion. An infusion is a very simple way of using herbs. An infusion is made in much the same way as tea is made. The water should be just off the boil, since vigorously boiling water dispenses the valuable volatile oils in the steam. So when you're making an infusion, you don't want to boil your herbs because if you do that, you're going to boil away the volatile oils out of it. Use this method for flowers and leaves, leaf parts of plants. The standard quantity should be made fresh each day and is sufficient for 3 doses. Drink hot or cool. Now let's go through the steps of doing an infusion. Number 1, put the herbs in a pot with a closed-fitted lid. A teapot is ideal. Pour hot water over the herbs and just let it steep. I'm pausing so that you can write this because I don't have it in the book. But this is a simple method, and most people make teas like this, make an infusion. You get a tea bag and you drop it in some hot water, that's an infusion. Okay, can I go to the next one? Number 2, leave to infuse for 10 minutes, then pour through a strainer into a teacup. Store the rest in a pitcher in a cool place. That's right. And if you need this here, if you want to get this PowerPoint presentation, you can get it. If you don't want to do all that writing and you just like to get the PowerPoint presentation, and then you can spare yourself for trying to do all this writing, you can get it. After the program over with, just take a memory stick, put it on there, and you can download it right into your computer. Okay, so if that's what y'all want to do, I can speed up a little bit. And for those people that do not have a computer, you can look at somebody that have a computer and you can make your notes, because otherwise I'm probably not going to get through it because we got quite a bit to go through. Okay, that's all there was to an infusion. This is a decoction. This method involved a more vigorous extraction of plant active ingredients than in the infusion, and is used for roots, barks, twigs, and some berries. Heat the herbs in cool water so you don't shock the herbs. If you drop the herbs in hot water, you really shock the herbs, and you don't want to do that. Put them in cold water and then heat it up. and simmer up for about 1 hour. As with infusion, the standard quantity should be made fresh each day and is enough for 3 doses. Drink hot or cold. Number 1, place the herbs in a saucepan. Add cold water, bring to a boil, then simmer for up to 1 hour until the volume has been reduced by 1/3. Number 2, strain through a strainer into a pitcher, a teacup. Store in a cool place. And that's a decoction. If any questions, now you stop me as we go, and then I can clarify. This is a tincture. This is made by steeping the dried or fresh herbs in 25% mixture of alcohol and water. Any part of the plant may be used. Besides extracting the plant active ingredients, the alcohol acts as a preservative. The tincture will keep up to 2 years. Tinctures should be made from individual herbs, combined prepared tinctures as required. Commercial tinctures use ethanol alcohol, but diluted spirits are suitable for home use. Vodka is ideal since it contains fewer additives, although rum helps to disguise the flavor of less palatable herbs.
There's a man in our area who uses vinegar all the time.
Yeah, you can
That
use.
is why it's
You can use vinegar, you can use vegetable glycerin, you can use blackstrap molasses, you can use honey. The difference, and we're going to go through all of those. We're going to go through and why would you choose one above the other. Now, as Christian people, we got a problem with alcohol. I have a problem with alcohol too. But don't let it trouble you so much. You can still use alcoholic tinctures, but you can extract the alcohol right back out of it after you make it. Okay? So all you have to do, if you make a tincture out of alcohol, 25% mixture of alcohol and water, you simply just take the extracted tincture and put it in water and bring it to a boil. Alcohol will evaporate before water boil. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? When you turn that on that heat, the alcohol is going to dissipate before water comes to the boiling point. So by the time it starts boiling, the alcohol is gone. It evaporates before water will boil.
Will that affect the strength of the
It don't affect the strength because the herb is still there. It affects the stimulant property of it because alcohol is a stimulant. That's why when you take peppermint and you put it in your mouth, it kind of burn a little bit. That's not the peppermint necessarily doing that. The alcohol is doing that. Because you can make a water extract of peppermint leaves. It won't do that. If you take alcohol and rub that on your nose, and it's made out of alcohol, you can feel it going all the way through you. But you can take a water extract of alcohol and do that. You can smell it, but it won't have that kick to it. That alcohol has that kick to it. It's the stimulant. So people associate the stimulant effect of alcohol as the strength of it, but it's not. So, like I say, you can just take the alcohol right out of it. Then you can put it in a honey base, or you can put it in a vegetable glycerin base, a blackstrap molasses base, and it will keep. Yes.
So if you were to buy vanilla in the store and it says it's got alcohol in it, would that alcohol, would there still be some percentage of alcohol in it?
Yeah, they'll tell you if it's 25%, 10%, 50% alcohol. Try to buy one that have a low percentage of alcohol, and then put it in some water and bring it to a boil and let it boil, real strong. and then cut it off and let it set, and all the alcohol evaporate out of it. Yes.
When you say put it in some water, do we just take the whole vanilla extract bottle and put it into a
Well, if you
or
got,
just add water as well?
if you have 3 ounces of vanilla with alcohol in it, then put 3 ounces of water in it. Boil it down until you only have right at 3 ounces, and the alcohol is gone. Mm-hmm.
Do some extract the medicinal properties of the herb better than others?
Yes, it does. Alcohol, vegetable glycerin extracts the fat solubles. In herbs, you have water solubles and you have fat solubles. Like when you make a cup of tea, like an infusion, you extract in the water solubles. You remember it said the volatile oils? If you keep boiling, you're going to pull out the oils in it, the fat, out of volatile oils out. But alcohol will extract the fat solubles out and leave it in your extract. You can boil the fat solubles plant in water. You can distill it in water and separate the water from the fat. And then in one container you would have the fat solubles, and in other container you have the water solubles. And the way you do that is you go get your pressure cooker, and a stainless steel pressure cooker, and you drill a hole right through it, the top lid of it. And then you get you some copper tubing, and you get somebody to fit that tubing on top of that pressure cooker. And you run that other end of that copper tubing over to another pot. And you do the same thing. Drill a hole in it, fit it to the pot. On the pot to the left, you put it under the fire. And you heat it up. And you got your herbs in there with water in there. Over here, you got another pot, and you got it setting in ice water. What happened is when it get to the boiling point, it's going to steam. The steam going to come over, and the water solubles going to settle over here in the cold. And they are going to condensate and become, water extract. It's going to separate the fat from the water. And that's what you call making a still. So I'm not trying to tell you how to make an alcohol still, but that's the way they make a still. If you want to make corn whiskey, or if you want to make whatever, that's how you make it. You make a still and it will do it. And you can make a portable still right in your house where you can make your own extracts and extract your fat from your water solubles. Okay? It's slow. It's a slow process. That's why a lot of people don't do it. But commercial companies, they do big batch of it at one time, so they can do it. It's not feasible to do it at home use because you're only going to get just a little smidget of the fat solubles out of the herbs. So that means you got to do a lot of it to get a few ounces. But it will, and that's why essential oils are so expensive, because the process of extracting it is an expensive process.
So what part, when you buy the essential oil, what part of it?
You're getting the fat solubles. The water solubles been extracted out of it. And that's why it's so strong. Right. It's just like alcohol, it's just the same as alcohol. It's very strong. If you took essential oil, just a little bit and drank it, it's going to really knock you over. It don't take but a few drops to really knock you to your knees. Well, straight, you can mix it in honey and take it like the way we do it. But if you take it straight, it really will burn you. Well, alcohol would do the same thing because it's made the same process is made, yes.
So basically what you're saying is the infusion is geared more for immediate consumption internally, whereas as you progress with the decoction and then onto the tincture, because of the strength, it's more for external application.
Yes, it is. But now you can take your decoctions and infusion, and you can preserve them by mixing, into some of your tinctures. You can mix it, some of your tinctures in some of your decoctions, and then they won't go bad. So you can preserve your decoctions and your infusions by making a decoction and then taking that decoction and then mixing it with your tincture, and that would preserve it. Because you're using 25 mixture of alcohol and water. Say if your water base was your herbs, your infusion, and your alcohol base was mixed into your tea infusion base, which is a water base, then what you're going to do is you're going to preserve your infusion decoction.
The tincture, you can still take it currently, you just have to dilute it with essentially.
That's right. Yeah. You can, it's just so strong, and you can take tinctures, but just, I wouldn't drink straight tincture. I put it in some water, drops. Yeah, I would do that. Okay, now let's look at how to make a tincture. Number one, into a large jar, cover with vodka, water mixture. Seal the jar, store in a cool place for about 2 weeks. Shake it occasionally. It's very simple to do. And it's amazing why more people don't make their own tinctures. And what it is time consuming though. The longer you keep them, the stronger they get. It's kind of like when you canning, we do a class, all our students had to take canning, and they had to learn how to can their food, they had to learn how to dry their food, they had to learn how to dehydrate their food. I know you all know that, y'all all country folks, but these people coming out the city, they know nothing about canning in quart jars and stuff. And so the way we teach them how to do it is you can your food, you stagger it, you put dates on them. You'll can 100 jars of peas this month, then 100 jars next month, then 100 jars later on, so that you got them coming in at different times and when you want to eat them. And the herbs are the same way. You make your tinctures, you put dates on them so that as they age, you always got another one coming in, because if you want to age it for 3 months, then you need to make enough and stagger the dates so that you always got a batch that you can use. And so, but anyway, you store it in a jar and shake it occasionally. Number 2, fit the cheesecloth around the rim of a wine press, secure it if necessary, and pour the mixture through. Now, you don't have to use a wine press. I've purchased a wine press from, and it's tough doing these things. It's tough buying the alcohol. It's tough going to a liquor supply store and getting your wine press. But I forced myself to go in and buy me a wine press. And I'd go in sometime and I'd buy me a fifth of whiskey, And I tell the man I'm making herbal tinctures. He said, "Oh yeah, I know." So I'm not sure if he really knows, but at least I tell him anyway. But if you don't have a wine press, all you have to do is just put it in a cheesecloth and just twist it. Just keep twisting it and squeeze it out. Number 3, press the mixture through the wine press into a jug. The residue makes an excellent compost, and you can throw it away. But that's what it is right there. That's the tincture that was made when you do that process. The longer you let it set, the stronger it would be.
How long?
Well, like I said, it don't matter. I mean, you can let it set 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you got a tincture. You let it set 3 months, you got a better tincture. You let it set a year, you got even a better tincture. So I'm just saying, it depends on how strong you want your tincture. Because as it ages, it gets stronger. Okay, pour the strained liquid into a clean, dark glass bowl. And this is important because you don't want to put it in a clear glass container because the light can cause some of the properties to dissipate. And you want to cork that. Okay, now, let's look at making syrups. Now, everything that you're looking at and learning how to do is what we call a base. These are base. This is not a product. These are base. A base means that I'm going to make me some peppermint salve, or peppermint cream, or peppermint lotion, or peppermint shampoo. And so I make me a tincture out of peppermint. And then when I learn how to make creams and salves, then I can take my tincture and add it to my creams. You know what I mean? And now I got a peppermint cream or peppermint lotion. So these are just base. That's all. It's a base element that you can use for many different things. Okay, now we're going to look at how to make a syrup. And this is not a cough syrup. This is just the base element for a syrup. Now, it can be any kind of syrup you want it to be. It can be a cough syrup, or it could be any type of syrup. But you're just making the base element. For a syrup, you can use honey, you can use blackstrap molasses, you can use unrefined fructose, you can use vegetable glycerin, and what you do is you take this and you preserve in infusions and decoction. And let me read again. Honey, blackstrap molasses, or unrefined fructose can be used to preserve infusions and decoctions. So you could take your infusion or your decoction that you made, and now you want to keep it. You want to preserve it. You made you some peppermint infusion. And now you take your peppermint tea and you want to make it out of a syrup. So you take your peppermint and now you infuse it in either one of these elements: blackstrap, honey, molasses, vegetable glycerin, or fructose. It makes an ideal cough remedy. Honey is particular smoothing. Number one, malted honey, bee honey, K-rose syrup. And not that I use all these things. I'm just telling you what you can do. Blackstrap molasses may also be used in making syrups. To make an herbal syrup, you simply add the cut herbs, or if using granulated herbs, sift them first so there will not be any dust or sediments. Boil to a syrupy consistent. Stir thoroughly, then strain through a double cheesecloth. Bottle the decoction and infusion. Decoctions and infusions can be used in making syrups. So in other words, you can take your decoctions and your infusion and you can add it to your syrups and make what you want. Or you can add whatever you want to it and make whatever you want. Number two, allow the mixture to cool. Pour into a dark glass bottle. Seal with a cork. This is important because sometimes when you make these syrups, they're ferment, and if you got it screwed on, it would explode. Okay? If it get hot enough, it's going to explode. But a cork is just pop the cork out. And that's why it's best to use a cork, especially when you use anything sweet that's got sugar in it. You always want to use a cork because the possibility it could explode if it ferment.
How long will a period before it starts fermenting, or does that depend on your base?
Yeah, it could ferment in a day or so. It's just like when you do canning. You can a can of whatever it is, peas or whatever, and if that lid don't pop right, and overnight, a few hours, it'll start fermenting. So it don't take long to ferment, but it may take a while before it explodes because it's gonna, as it ferment and continue to make alcohol, it's gonna expand, and the glass don't expand, but it's gonna keep expanding until something got to give away. Okay, so do we understand about the syrup? And do we understand this is just a base element? And I wish, we'd had the time where we could have made some of these things. And I'll tell you, one of the best, most smoothing cough syrups you can ever make is to take, and we did it in our last class, we took vegetable glycerin, And we took wild cherry, dried wild cherries, and wild cherry bark, and we mixed those together. And we cooked the wild cherry bark and the dried wild cherries. We cooked it until it was a real thick. We just cooked those cherries down to it almost melt those cherries in the vegetable glycerin. Then we strained it, and then we put about 4 or 5 drops of peppermint in it. And then you bottle it, put it in a bottle. And you're talking about a really nice cough syrup. I mean, really got a very good taste to it. It works real well, pull up a lot of mucus. So if you really want to make a professional cough syrup, then you might want to use vegetable glycerin. If you want one that you want to put on the shelf that a person can taste and it tastes good, vegetable glycerin is what I would use. If you want to make one for home use and it's inexpensive, you might want to use honey or blackstrap molasses. Greg, you let me know where my time at. Okay, the next one is a lemon syrup. A lemon syrup. This is one I really like. I like it because I like lemon, and it makes a very good syrup. And you boil 1 pint of lemon juice, and you use the fresh lemon juice, about 10 minutes. Strain and add 3 pounds of fructose, and boil a few minutes longer. Now, what they used to do, they used to use sugar. They would add the sugar instead of fructose. I use the fructose. And you boil it until it becomes real thick. And that makes a good lemon base for a good cough syrup. Or it could be for a cooking purpose. You know, you might want to make some lemon flavoring. This will make a good lemon flavor. You know, you go to the store and you buy all these here flavors, you know, for cooking. Lemon, whatever it is, orange, and you name it. Well, they make it basically the same way you're making it here. You just take whatever flavor you want, you cook it in sugar or fructose. I like fructose. And then it will keep. And you could, you know, use it for vanilla is a good one. Make some vanilla flavor. And you can get some vanilla beans and grind them up to a powder and just cook it in the fructose and cook it in the vegetable glycerin, and you can make your vanilla flavor. Okay, now this one is what we call a hot infusion of oil. The active plant ingredients can be extracted in oil for external use in massage oils, creams, and ointment. So if you want to make anything from lip balm to massage oils to creams or to ointments, then you want to do a hot oil infusion. Infused oils will last up to about a year if kept in a cool place, cool, dark place. Although small amounts made fresh are more potent. There are 2 techniques. The hot method is suitable for comfrey, chickweed, rosemary, and the cool method is suitable for marigold, St. John's wort. And if possible, repeat the process for the cool infusion using new herbs and the one infused oil, leaving to stand for about a few weeks. And I explained that in my own words. If you're going to use the hot infusion, you don't have to do it twice. But if you're going to do the cold infusion, it's best to make the cold infusion, then strain it, throw those herbs away, then take the oil that is left behind, put some fresh herbs in there, and do it again. And that's just to make it stronger, that's all. So now let's see the steps on making the infused herbs. Okay?
Is that in your book?
No, ma'am. None of this is in my book. That's why I'm making it available. I'm making it available for the PowerPoints. If you want them, you know, you can get the PowerPoints. Now, what you can do with the PowerPoints, you can print this off on your computer. If you don't know anything about computers, just get somebody to put it in the computer, and then it's got a printer, and just print them off. Okay? And it'll print off and on a piece of, paper, typing paper. Okay, number 1, put the oils and the herbs in a glass bowl over a pan of boiling water in a double saucepan and heat gently for about 3 hours. So you're putting this in a double boiler. Number 2, pour the mixture into a jelly bean bag or cheesecloth fitted securely to the rim of a wine press, strain into a jug. And once again, you don't have to use a wine press. You could just squeeze it out. Number 3, pour into a clean, airtight storage bottle using a funnel if necessary. Okay? So now you've made your infused oils, hot infused oil that you can use for whatever purpose you want to use it for. So if you want to make lip balms, you want to make some type of cream, you can easily do it out of that. And I'm going to show you, if I get time, I'm going to show you how to take the infused oils and make creams out of it. Make any type of hairdressing, lotion, deodorant. I mean, not deodorant, but anything like a hairdressing, a shampoo, or whatever. I can show you how to make it. But you have to learn how to make these base elements. And the reason why people don't know how to make toiletries, they don't know how to make the base elements. See, once you get the base elements made, you can make anything you want.
The base element is always a tincture?
No, it's not. It can be different things. I mean, you know, it depends on what you're making. But you can make a lot of products from tinctures and extracts.
Just one question, talking about glycerin. If it doesn't say vegetable glycerin, is it?
Now, you can't use it internally.
But how about externally?
Right. You can use, well, there's, even you need to get, with vegetable glycerin, you need to know if it's the type you can ingest, because they have 2 types of vegetable glycerin. One type is not suitable for internal use. And the other type is, they'll let you know you can use it in cooking and in foods. Because they put a lot of vegetable glycerin in pastries and candy and cookies and stuff like that. So you get a lot of it in your food. But you need to make sure you read the bottle to make sure that it's one that you can take, inside. Now they can make vegetable glycerin. They make it from vegetable plants. They don't make it from animal products. It's all made from animal plants. Because see, plants has water soluble and fat soluble. The fat that they extract from plants is glycerin, and it's sweeter than sugar. That's the one thing about glycerin. It's going to be sweeter than sugar. But that's the fat that they distill from the vegetables. And you don't want to take a lot of this stuff internally, because it's not that healthy if you're going to consume a lot of it. Yes?
What, I just put oil in the herbs, like what type of oil do they use?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
What type of oil do you use for this?
Well, you can use any type of light vegetable oil, or olive oil, or seed oil, or just whatever oil you want. You can use it. Any type of nut or seed oil, you could use it. Let's look at a cold infusion. I use a real light extra virgin olive oil, but we use a light vegetable oil also. Okay, let's look at a cold infusion. Pack a large jar tightly and cover completely with oil. Then you put on a lid and leave in a sunny windowsill or in a greenhouse up to about 2 to 3 weeks. That's real easy there. I mean, it's just, you just pack a jar, a quart jar, tight with the herbs, and then just pour oil in it and put a lid on it and just leave it setting in the sun for 2 or 3 weeks, and you can make a cold infusion. Pour the mixture into a jelly bean bag, cheesecloths, fit securely with a string or elastic band around the rim of the jar. Squeeze the oil through the bag. Repeat steps 1 or 2 with new herbs and the 1 infused oil. After a few weeks, strain and store. So if you're going to make a cold infusion, you may want to use this for, food purpose. You may want to make a salad dressings. Say for instance, if you want to make all different type of salad dressings, then you can use this as a base for your salad dressings. And, you be very creative with your salad dressings. But you already got your base. It's just a matter of putting your season. We take oregano, we take celery, we take just everything, all kind of seasons, and we put in it. And then you got a real nice salad dressing that you can put, on your, you can take poppy seeds or whatever you want to do. Just be creative. And, you can make any kind of salad dressing you want by just using the cold infusions. Any questions on that? Like I said, the one reason why you have problem making products is because you haven't really studied out how to make the base element. Once you make the base element, it's just a matter of you adding something to it. It's really simple. The hardest part is the base element. Once you get it, it's a charm. I mean, it's like you could go in the kitchen there and make salad dressing, and in less than a minute. That's how Sebastian can throw stuff together so fast, because he understands how to put the base elements together. And once you do that, like you were saying about the garlic, you made for your dogs, bases. You could do it the same way as this. You could just take that garlic and put it in a cold infusion, and it would work the same way. You end up with garlic oil. Okay, let's look at a cream. A cream is a mixture of water and fat and oils. Now remember, we've already learned how to make our oils. We made a hot infusion, we made a cold infusion. So now if we want to make a cream, we can take our oils from our hot infusion and our cold infusion, and we can now make a type of facial cream, a skin cream, whatever we need to make, a lotion or a hair dressing or whatever we want to make. Okay, so a cream is a mixture of fat and oils. Don't remember, you've learned how to make your fats. Okay, you already learned how to make your oils, so you already got that. You already learned how to make your infusions, your decoctions, so you got your essence, you got your smell, so you can add that to your, product that you're making. With soften and blend with the skin. It can be easily made using emulsified ointments available from most pharmacies, which is a mixture of oils and wax that blend with water. The key when making a nice facial cream is taking your fats and your oils, your oils and your wax, and water. Water and oil do not normally mix, but if you take oils and water, fat, oils, and water, and put it in a blender and spin it, you emulsify it. You turn it to a cream, and the oils and the fats will become stabilized, and it's going to stay a real soft cream when you do that. That's how you make it real velvetly smooth and creamy, by adding a little water to it. Don't add a lot of water to it. Just enough water to get that nice, smooth texture. The more wax you add to your oils, the thicker it would be. The harder it's going to be, like a roll-on. You ever seen a roll-on deodorant, how hard it is? Well, if you add too much wax, it's going to be hard like that. So you got to figure out just what type of texture you want your product to be. If you want it real creamy, decrease the amount of wax. If you want it real thick, increase your wax. If you want it real smooth and fluffy like melted ice cream, just add a little water to it and blend it, emulsify it up, and it'll be like that. And now you got your base. Now let's say I want to make a lavender face cream. I just take, and be very careful, don't add a lot of lavender or peppermint or your essence. You don't need that. You could take 1 or 2 drops of lavender and put it in 4 or 5 ounces of your product, and you got more than enough. Okay? And it gives you a nice, mild aroma without fumigating the whole room. Just a nice, mild aroma. I used to take rose I take a rose extract, put a couple of drops of rose in my facial cream or hand lotion, and put a lid on it, and it'll go right through the cream. And you just rub it on your hand, and you could smell the nice aroma, and it keeps your hands soft. So now the other thing about this is you need to add a few drops of benzoin tincture. Now I buy benzoin by the pound full. You know, you can buy it in the powder form, and you can buy it in the tincture. But you go and buy you some benzoin. Benzene, is it benzene? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. B-E-N-Z-O-I-N. Anyway, you use that as a tincture, put a few drops in it, and that helps preserve your product, that keep it from growing mold, or turning rancid, and that's what that is used for. Any questions on that? Well, let's go through the steps on the cream. Melt the fat and water in a bowl over a pan of boiling water in a double saucepan. Add herbs and heat gently for 3 hours. Number 2, fit a jelly bean bag around the rim of the wine press. Strain the mixture into a bowl. Stir constantly until cool. Number 3, use a small palette knife to fill the storage jar. Put some cream around the edge of the jar first, and then fill the middle of the jar. And that's pretty much it for the cream. Now you got a base for your cream. Whatever cream you want to make, you determine. Whatever essence you want to put in it, you determine that. Whatever herb you want, you can put in that. It just depends. If you want to make a comfrey cream, a chickweed skin cream, you can do that. If you want to make a lip balm, add a little more wax to it to stiffen it up. And then you can make you tea tree oil lip balm. And it will come out a little thicker than your cream. And then you can use that as a lip balm.
Do you use beeswax or do you use?
Yes, use beeswax. That's right, you use beeswax. You're going to melt down your beeswax and add it to your oils. And then when you get all your mixture together, you just blend it all up together with a little water. And then just store it, and it'll be a nice cream. Okay, we're going to go to the extracts. Okay, got 10 minutes, so I might can get through all of the main ones here. I think I got one more maybe. With the extracts, it's very simple. You just get you a container, and you take about 1 pound, well, if you want to make it like this, you take about 1 pound of your powder plants, herbs or whatever you're going to use about 1 pound. And then you take your solvent or your alcohol and you fill it up, bring the alcohol probably about 1 inch to 1.5 inches over the top of your herbs. And then you simply just let that set. And the longer you let it set, the stronger your extract will be. And that's all the extract is. It's just alcohol and your plant base. Any questions on that? Yes.
Say just add just enough, an inch.
About 1 inch, 1.5 inches above the. It depends on how strong you want to make it. If you want to make it, not so strong, then you just add less herbs and more alcohol.
You don't put any water?
No, you don't put any water in your extracts. It's just alcohol and your herbs. And you let it set and age. Okay, let's look at an ointment. An ointment, you may want to make a comfrey ointment or some type of chickweed ointment for skin problems. An ointment contains only oils and fats and no water. And the reason for that is ointments are to lay on the top of your skin. They are not to absorb into the skin. They serve as a base to just a protective barrier for your skin. Like if you want to make a moisturizer or something like that, and you just want to have it just laying over the surface of the skin to kind of protect your skin. That's where a lot of moisturizers are made. It's unlike creams. It does not blend with the skin, but forms a separate layer over it. Ornaments are suitable where the skin is already weak or soft. and where some protection is needed from additional moisture, as in diaper rash. And some of the ointments are made from animal fats, from petroleum jelly, from paraffin wax is suitable. I don't use neither one of these. I will use a little paraffin wax some, but I mostly use beeswax to make my ointments. Number 1, melt the wax or jelly in a bowl over a heat. Now, when they said jelly, you know what that is, right? That's petroleum jelly. That's like grease. Like you go get Vaseline. Vaseline is petroleum jelly. That's what they're talking about when they said jelly. So you go get the white petroleum jelly, and you can use it. I don't use it. I use the beeswax. I use Crisco sometime when I'm out of everything. I take a pure Crisco. They make one that don't have any chemicals in it. Makes a very good cream and ointment. Melt the wax or jelly in a bowl over a pan of boiling water and a double boiler or saucepan. Stir in the herbs and heat for about 2 hours until the herbs are crisp. So you're actually going to sit there and you're going to crisp those herbs so they turn almost black. Pour the mixture into a jelly bean bag or cheesecloth. Fit securely with a string or a band over the rim. And you can see, you look at those herbs are burnt to a crisp. And the reason for that is you're extracting all the properties out, and the properties now are in the oil, in the ointment. You need to wear some thick rubber gloves as the mixture is hot. Squeeze it through the jelly bag into a container. Quickly pour the strained mixture while still warm into some type of storage jar or glass. And that, once it's set up, it's going to stiffen up. And it's going to be an ointment that you can rub over your skin as a protective barrier. Okay? That makes a very good lip balm. That makes a good, any type of topical cream that you want to put over your skin to protect your skin. Like if you got chap, some kind of rash or something, and you want to make chickweed, you want to make a comfrey ointment, it makes a very good one. A golden seal makes a very good ointment. Okay, we're going to stop with that. That kind of give you an idea of what you can do. And all of these ones that you see here is where we actually have taken the things that we have learned and we're making a product. We're making a marigold cream. Well, we knew how to make the cream, so all we need to do is just add a little marigold to that. We learned how to make a cream. Now we want to make a comfrey cream. It's just a matter of taking a little comfrey and adding it to our cream. Same as way with the chickweed. So if there's no question, I'm going to stop right there. Yes.
Do you have the medicinal purposes of the different herbs in your books?
I have some. I don't, I didn't write a herb book just on herbs. There's a lot of good herb books. One of the best one that I use in my library all the time is Herbs That Heal. I don't have a bin number with me, but Herbs That Heal is probably, I think, one of the best books written on herbs. I like Jeffrey Klaus's book, Back to Eden, but the Herbs That Heal gives me scientific validation of the herbs. When Jeffrey Klaus wrote his book, there was no scientific validation. So, but when I get Herbs That Heal, I can validate it because there was scientific research done at, laboratories, and they give the data there. And so that is more convincing when I'm trying to convince a person that these herbs are quite effective. And that's why I like that book. Okay?
When you were making that cough syrup with the cherry bark, would
Yes.
that be like the wild cherries that grow in the woods?
Yes. Beautiful. I mean,
And do the berries have to be dry, or can they be
no, you can use fresh berries, yeah.
fresh too?
Yeah. I use sassafras. Sassafras grow all around my place. And I go out and dig me a sassafras root. And I, make me a wonderful cough syrup with vegetable glycerine and sassafras.
Just pull the bark off and chop it all up?
And just chop it real small and just cook it in that vegetable glycerin, and it would extract the properties out of it. Dear Father, thank you once again, Lord. We give you praise, and Lord, we give thanks to your name for allowing this to take place. Continue to bless us, dear Father, and help us, Lord, to put all this information back together again, and Lord, where it makes sense and that it can be a help. In Christ's name, amen.